So come on in, take a sip, and let's wind down. My name is Christopher. I'm delighted you're here to study, attempt to solve this grid with me. I'm pretty excited about it because I always get excited about Saturdays. It's my favorite day of the week for the New York Times. And it's just been an amazing day. Just got back from the Czech Republic, went up there to the duty-free store, got a ginormous bottle of a single malt scotch, and got some more red stuff, got some Campari, was able to get a few bottles of wine from the Czech Republic as well, went out and got a whole bunch of Prosecco. It's just been a good day. Got stocked up on some wine, so we'll have some wine on tomorrow for the Sunday solve. It's sitting in the wine fridge right now, getting itself ready, and I'm just excited about that. I'm finally getting kind of caught up on a few things. And so really, if you've got some Campari and some Prosecco, why don't you join me for one of these? Or just whatever you have there. I love a Campari Spritz. Nothing like it in the world. Just amazing stuff. So, on this day in history, apparently, Prince of Wales, that would be Edward VII, was the first royal to visit the United States. Now, of course, I can only imagine that must have been a pretty luxurious trip in whatever boat they took. But, wow, that is something else to think about what that must have been. And of course, all the society people must have just been agog over that as well, right? So I can just imagine. I mean, we still get all jiggly when any royalty comes to visit us in the United States or even here in Europe, where I live in Germany. It's pretty cool stuff. So I think that's just kind of a neat thing in history to look at. I wanted to reach out to Hannah because just about 4 days ago, I had said, I just realized that we have community posts, but then promptly neglected to learn anything about accessing them, seeing if anybody has left any notes. And I see that 4 days ago, Hannah left this fantastic message here. You know, the best part about being a night owl. Yeah, I would agree. There's nothing like having that crossword right there, right? You know, it's just a wonderful thing. Of course, now I do it on this channel, so I don't have that at my disposal anymore. And yes, I could do the New Yorker or the USA Today or whatever, the LA Times. I have all those apps. But it's just not the same as the New York Times. I mean, this is the flagship crossword on the planet when it comes to this style of crosswords. Of course, you know, granted, there are cryptics and whatnot elsewhere. I enjoy doing the Guardian and independent cryptics, and so that's kind of a fun thing. But this is... So nowadays, I find myself wordling, spelling bee, strands, you know, what's the other one that I do? Well, I do all of them in there. And so I got to leave the crossword alone. You know, that wouldn't be fair. So anyway, but I couldn't agree more, Hannah, and thank you so much for that wonderful message. And I love the little black and white hearts. It just really kind of goes with the grid and the theme. Very cool. And this I thought was particularly funny. This is from the Bob Haight. Now, Bob Haight is actually was one of my professors during undergraduate. And dare I say, one of the two hardest professors I ever faced down in my entire academic career. We're talking about several master's programs and even a doctoral program that I have been through. And but I just have to say, Professor, tell us about your outfits. It can't always be about wine and big brains. Well, this is a good point, sir. Actually, I would agree with you 100%. I made 3 C's while I was an undergraduate, and 2 of them came from the Bob Haight. So, well-deserved. Granted, I just wasn't much on studying. I was always one of those guys that could just, you know, listen in class. And I did show up for class. I was not the kind of guy that didn't go to class. I mean, I was paying for it. I figured we can get on in there and get it done. But homework, you know. So, I mean, I earned those C's. There's no question about that, right? You know, and this was during undergraduate. But one of the finest professors that ever ever graced any institution of higher learning. There's no question. And Bob Haight's not his real name, and I'm going to leave that alone. But he has just been a driving force in my life. Like there's just no other way to explain it. And he's got a band that's just amazing, the Bob Haight, and the music continues to haunt me now. Wow, we're talking 30 plus years later. So yeah, we're talking the early 90s when, oh gosh, I won't bring that up at all. But thank you, Professor. I will start talking about my wardrobe and other things more often, right? Absolutely. And of course, the Merriam-Webster word of the day today, because dictionary.com gave us something, I don't know, like boondocks, and I'm just, okay. So I went to Merriam-Webster and we have enmity. And I love the way they have this defined here as a formal word that refers to a very deep, unfriendly feeling, such as hatred or ill will, that is often felt mutually. So, can't think of a better way to get us kicked off than a little enmity. Not on this channel, not in this community ever. So, I mean ever. We have the best community, no question about that. So let's go ahead and hop into our grid and see what we've got here. It is Saturday. I'm always hoping for a tough one, so we never know. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're, I mean, they're always going to be, a little on the rough side, but boy, I just like those challenges. And so seeing Katie Hoody's name here kind of makes me think we might be up to something here, since the headline here says chilling. Katie Hoody's tough Saturday puzzle will shroud solvers in uncertainty. And that means there's a challenge here. So this is where I get excited. I don't mind not knowing something and being beaten by the grid. I welcome it. So let's go ahead and hop into our grid and see what we've got here. Okay, hell no. Okay, here we go. Right over the bow with the first shot. So, Catholic University in Florida, or its hometown. Okay, well, we're not going to get St. Pete in there. What do we got here? New customs might incite them. Spare no indulgence. Free of typos, say. Special. Let's go with ops. See where we can get an anchor in somewhere. So, okay, how about St. Leo? This might be a way for us to break our way in here. So, free of typos. Kink. Spare no indulgence. I guess that could be live large. I don't think we have to resort to guessing wildly just yet, though. Love, 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 and the like. Original plot. Maybe Eden. Connect with a flame. Carrier that offered pioneering coast-to-coast service beginning in the 1930s, and I do believe that would be TWA. I actually have, I collect airline memorabilia. I even have some old TWA playing cards. Got Pan Am playing cards. I've got Pan Am dominoes. I don't even play dominoes, but I've just got stuff. And if you're going to take a flight and you wind up in a really cool bird like a 757 or a 767 or a 747, save the airline safety card and send it to me, and I will send you back an iron-on and a decal. That way you can make a t-shirt, whatever you want to make, and a decal. But if you can send me 757, 767, 747, or any cool plane you've been on. Any of the Embraers would be fun. I don't care if it's an Airbus A320, A321, whatever, but an A220, A330, that would be cool. So would an A380. So in other words, you send me an airline safety card, I send you decals. How about that? So, monthly magazine of politics and culture since 1850, and I do believe this would be Harper's. I submitted so much crap to Harper's when I was an undergraduate, between them and the New Yorker, that, I mean, I used to have a file folder. One day I'm going to find it. I never throw anything away like that. But I was one day going to make a huge decoupage of all the rejections that I received. Thought, why not, right? So Hill Folk informally could be Paul's. This is a tough grid, and we're going to get there. We're going to get here. Okay, so Hell No looks like it could be a screw that. Screw that? I love it. Kink, how about a crimp? Okay. And new customs might incite them. I'm going for trade wars. We have to check every one of these on the downs too. We just gonna have to do that. So I think this might be raves, and therefore maybe we got the live large, which we did kind of guess that's what it was gonna be, but is there any way to know? And I think we talked about Eden as well. So free of typos. So we're talking about the verb to free. So emend, connect with a flame. That is not where that was going to me. Weld. I mean, I thought for sure this would have something that would irritate the blue law people. I wasn't sure what we were going to get on that one. So specialized languages could be argos. Some people say argots. I don't know. Who wrote humankind cannot bear very much reality. And boy, isn't that the case? T.S. Eliot, well done. I still think Proof Rock, beautiful poem, Wasteland, and if it wasn't for Ezra Pound, what would have ever actually been of those poems? I mean, I think he largely had a huge hand in making T.S. Eliot what he became. But The Journey of the Magi, that's the best one. B to C, but not A to B. Secure over. Big mess. Chilling. I mean, how about a fearsome? And, I think we probably have maybe a semitone. One of the things I always connected with Professor Bob Haight, if you will, we'll go with his nom de guerre. We were both musicians, and I do believe we're probably both classically trained. I mean, he's really, really good with his instrumentation and stuff, so I'm assuming he's the type of guitar player that would not stop playing if you put sheet music in front of him. So with that, I still say that anytime you have if you have a musical background, it really helps with some of the tougher grids. It really, really does. To my new solvers out there, learn musical notation, learn the lingo, learn the vocabulary around that, right? Yesterday, I think we had sotto voce or something along those lines. So, it really does help to understand what a slur is, right? To understand what a bass clef and a treble clef is, and what do you automatically play? What is the circle of fifths? What are semitones? And it just helps. So rare showbiz collections, and we have an E here, and I'm gonna go with EGOTs, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. That's pretty cool. There's a few folks that have those, and that's pretty cool. I have a television, a college television Emmy. It's in storage somewhere. They're much smaller. Kate and Allie of 80s TV. I have no idea. Let's see. More constricting. How about tighter? All right. Let's see. Sounds from 59 across. We'll deal with that. Hit the horn. Okay. Well, now I feel like we have to do this. So, famous around the world traveler. Okay. That helped nothing. Hit the horn. Past tense, past perfect, present perfect. Let's see. Seems like it. All right. Word after chicken or breast could be feed. Chicken feed, breastfeed. Okay. What's wrong? Big mess, secure over. Okay, how about to retie? If we retie that, we have a big mess. So maybe a rat's nest. Typically exaggerated quantity. I'm going to go with tons here to see what we might have. Have a standout performance. Could be to shine. And seems like it. So, yeah, I'm not so sure if I'm going to go with reckon so. So, hit the horn. Maybe past tense. Maybe tooted? Toted. Okay. Oops. So, okay. Maybe that's Santa, and maybe this is a ho-ho. I don't know. And I never saw Kate and Owling. I was certainly alive in the 1980s, but I was mostly elementary, middle, and high school student in the 80s. TV was limited to The Fall Guy and Buck Rogers and Miami Vice, that kind of thing. But really, it was limited to MTV because we played music back then. But maybe we have mothers. Maybe they're mothers. I've never seen the show. I don't know. No. Phenomenon brought about by seasonal wind shifts. Could be a monsoon. We had a tough grid here. This is great. I'm loving it. Demand upon reaching an enemy border. Huh. How about a king me? King me. Yeah, okay. Checkers boy. Self-effacing personality trait. Oh, wow. Okay, we got echoism. Haven't heard that since the first time I went through grad school. Slower musically. This is what I'm talking about here, right? So maybe me no most. So. And I don't always remember how to spell them. And there's also variations, so we'll have to check that. But I think slower musically, yeah. And it also helped that we had an Emmy in there. Result of the 64 Clay Liston fight. And I'm going to assume we're talking about a TKO. Blow it. I feel like I constructed this grid. Apple attachment could be a stem. Very nice. I love it. Later. Okay, I got I don't know. Powdered ingredient in sweet teas and smoothies. Maybe taro? Maybe strip of wood from which a bow is carved could be a stave. Commencement. Keep to oneself. Some pilgrims could be hajis. Sheets might be placed in them. Ovens? I don't know. You see me shying away from this a bit. I'm gonna wait till I get something else because I'm not sure at all. And oh boy, here we go. I just see it. I don't know what a tau is, but I meant taro. Whew! But I better get through here and check all of my work. Gosh. So it looks like later could be I got a jet. And that tells me we have our hajis here, and below it could be a smoke ring, and commencement could be the get-go, and that means keep to oneself would be to hog. All right, you know what? That works for me. What's wrong with that R? Maybe we've got an error. I know. I go out of my way to say error, and it sounds goofy. I get that. It's just, I think error. My last name is pronounced Combest. Combest. Very simple. And I think it's an old French, German probably disambiguation, right? Of something different, right? But it just kind of fits. And everybody that ever had my last name pretty much says Combest, but no one who's ever been familiar with the name, and it's a very small family. They always say stuff like Combest or something, and it's just always wrong. So all of us pretty much just say, hi, this is Christopher.combest. So we just do that. Yes, I know, error sounds better, but error is kind of like combest. It just keeps people spelling it correctly. And that's really all it boils down to. I mean, at least I can hear what it is I'm trying to communicate. So loose sheets in a program, as an example, could be inserts, sullen sorts. Oh, no idea. That's how I feel about half of this grid. I like it. I do. I love it. I don't like it in Spanish would be no me gusta, among other possibilities. Let's see what we got here. Sullen sorts. No idea. Webmaster. You know what? For grins and giggles, I'm going to put in Spider-Man, because it seems like that might be what it is. And then we got mopers here, maybe. Need anything else from me? Am I done? What an awful thing. Conference acronym would be maybe TED. I was invited to give a TED talk once, a TEDx. But the whole thing got canceled because of, I think it was COVID or something. That was awful. Because I would love nothing more than to have a captive audience and get to talk about some of my academic work. That would be cool. Typically exaggerated length of time, going with ages. Bottom of many an ensemble. Maybe a skirt. I don't know. Watch unseen could be to lurk. So I'm at a loss, perhaps. Blank acid staining agent used in electron microscopy, and that would be osmic. It helps to be a hospital administrator. Big time. That helps too. So I'm going to go with a skirt. That was my original thought. Let's see. So we got Santa here making an appearance. And farmer's market alternative in brief could be CSA. Big names could be stars. And I think we're getting somewhere. Now, I don't know. I've caught a couple of fat fingering episodes here, and I don't see any right now just jumping out at me. But nevertheless, I am prepared for it to say, ooh, grr, so close, or whatever it does. And every time it does that, it's because I fat-fingered something. On rare occasions over the last 10 plus years have I ever gotten something just because I didn't know. I mean, it's usually because something lines up. But like I always say to my new solvers out there, right? I know there's a lot of you. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're just like, I just don't know. Believe me, that happens every time. And I know that it's just a matter of chance that one day it'll be a Monday grid, but it'll have something to do with, I don't know, say Nicki Minaj, and something to do with anime that I've never even heard of, because I don't participate. I don't have time for everything in the world, right? So it'll be like that. It'll be that intersection. I have no idea, and I will use my best, my best old college try effort to figure out what it could be or should be, or working through what the word would more than likely have after an E or an O or something like that. I mean, I can do all that, but sometimes you just don't know. So just keep that in mind. Even when you can screw up just by fat fingering something, and even when you don't know, you can usually find a way around it. But when you don't, you don't. And the beauty of the crossword puzzle is that we are all here to learn something, and that's cool. So group that believes in Gelassenheit. Oh, submission to God's will. Okay, Gelassenheit. That would be the Amish. The Rumspringer is the thing that I find the most fascinating. I mean, I think every kid should get one of those, like, I mean, make a deal. Like, if I graduate at 17 and then I go to college at 18, I got a year to go do Rumspringa, right? Like, my parents would have been like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you go Rumspring yourself right on out of here and start paying for your own place to live or something, right? That's what would have happened. But, it might be kind of a cool thing. A little bit of Rumspringer time, right? Actor Millen of BBC America's Orphan Black. See, this is a good example. I have no idea. No idea. So, let's hope that something on the crosses gets me there. Verso's counterpart. Woo! Got lucky there. Verso recto. Prime. I don't know. So, like, if I had to guess, I would say it would be Ari Millen. I just don't know. Because I don't know what we're looking for prime here. If that was an I would probably put ideal. But again, I don't know. When you don't know, you don't know. And I don't know is a perfectly good answer. Don't ever act like you know something when you don't. It's always best to say, I don't know. It looks a lot better in the future, right? Especially when when you're trying to bluff your way around something. No, don't do it. Just, I don't know. Charcoal and wood for 2. Well, as an artist, I would say media. And MLB third baseman Bohm. And I think that's Alec. Lay off. Beverage, sometimes topped with whipped cream. And maybe this is an iced latte. I used to drink those. Oh, like you wouldn't believe. Sports org in a 1976 merger. And that would be the ABA. I do believe the American Basketball Association, I think. Drink drunk the morning after, maybe. Lay off. It could be to idle, I guess. Hidden assets could be hold cards. And I think we have our ideal here. So drink drunk the morning after maybe could be stale beer. Prime could be an ideal. And I'm just looking through it real quick because this was a tough grid. I feel like I don't see anything just jumping out at me. It means nothing, but let's just go ahead and check it. And let me also make sure that we have our volume turned up for a change. So let's go with an ideal. And how did we do Bob? Okay, now that was a tough grid. I mean, it was absolutely tough. And the toughness of this thing, the challenge in this grid wasn't necessarily just in the way the clues were written, right? Because you can take an average Monday puzzle, the easiest day of the week in the New York Times, and you can just write the clues very, very, you could just put them in, it's just so vague and so cleverly, and it would be like so difficult. But when you get right down to it, at the end of the day, that Monday puzzle is going to have a lot of answers that are easy. They're considered easy answers, right? Here, not so much. It is not normal to see "screw that" in a crossword, right? Especially in New York Times, it's just not normal, right? Live large. Yeah, it kind of came to me, but new customs might incite them. Trade wars. That's really out there. Specialized languages, argos, they are absolutely right. I study these to the nth degree, it seems, right, which is also largely exaggerated, like ages and tons here. But I mean, studied a lot of argos, right, especially in my etymology courses during my postgraduate linguistics program, and so that's just some craziness there, right? I mean, if you're an aviation enthusiast, part-time pilot, whatever, or just a general aviation guy, or maybe you're an airline pilot, I mean, you'd probably get the TWA thing, but that's not common knowledge. Eden was a bit of a gimme, right? First man, that kind of thing, first woman, usually you can kind of get the Eve or the Adam, depending on what you've got there, right? But this is some really great stuff. Kink. I mean, where does your mind go to when you hear this, right? Are you thinking garden hoses, Or are you thinking something that could get you in trouble with your other half? I mean, I'm just saying, it makes you think. For me, the saving piece of this was verso's counterpart. Verso, recto, recto, verso. That helped me. It helps that I'm a fluent German speaker too, and that, the Gelassenheit, and I also studied world religions as a minor and undergraduate. Because being an Elizabethan poetry major, I wanted to have a minor that would be strong, to get me a job. So, I thought, well, might as well go ahead and minor in world religions and world languages. It's a good thing I was an artist and I just went to work in advertising, right? Back then, you just needed to have a degree. It didn't matter. And I think for a lot of jobs, the same thing still applies, right? If you want to go to work and you want to be an account executive, I don't know, whatever corporation, fine. You have a music degree, whatever, you got a degree. Are you good at sales is the question. Yes, I had a degree in English, Elizabethan poetry with a minor in dead languages, basically, and world religions. And it was crazy about that is, though, I was able, because I had the skill as an artist, I just went to work, And I think this is really just a fantastic, wonderfully constructed grid. I loved it. Blow it, Okay, what? Smoke ring. Got it. Me no more. So wonderful to see this in here. I mean, when's the last time you saw osmic acid in anything? I mean, we're talking staining agents for electron microscopy. This is craziness. I absolutely love it, I got a run. I got a jet. This was just fabulously constructed. Well done, Katie Hoody. I mean, you've got no idea how much I appreciate this grid. This was the best in a long time. Absolutely fabulous. And the no me gusta does not apply here, right? I absolutely love it. Ich liebe das Kreuzworträtsel. Es ist ganz gut Arbeit. Fantastisch, Frau Hoody. So let's go ahead and break down our Bannière d'Adieu right as I'm really getting to the trickled end of this wonderful Campari Spritz. It has been a fabulous Saturday solve. What a wonderful way to end an already fabulous day. I can't wait to get this uploaded and everybody can enjoy, and I can get around to answering some of these posts and stuff, especially poor Hannah. 4 days is not my thing. I always answer viewer mail and viewer comments and everything like that while I'm processing and uploading. That way, it gives. That's the time that I do that. I have to set aside a schedule, for this. It is a legitimate part-time job, and so I just didn't know where to look for that. But I promise you, Hannah, and I've got it fixed. But thank you for the wonderful note. Until we see you tomorrow for the Sunday Grid, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, servus, grüß Gott, ciao, Cin-Cin, be well out there. Take care of yourselves, take care of your friends, and take care of your families. Be nice to strangers. And just remember, when you run into that person on the street and they're having a hard time communicating with you because they're not from where you are, you're actually looking at someone who's a very, very brave soul for even trying to make a living in no man's land, right? So, cheers. Be well out there. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow for the Sunday Grid. Cheers.